okay? So today's agenda is going to start with creating reusable templates. We have a lot of time savers within SkySlope forms, but this seems to be a crowd favorite because it really does save you time. So we'll go ahead and create a template today and actually apply it to a file and fill out some forms. And then we'll go ahead and walk through the signing experience so you can see what your client will actually experience when they're signing the documents. And then throughout the training, again, if you have any questions, please just go ahead and post those in the Q&A. And throughout the training today, I'll check in to see what questions you have, but we'll also stick around at the end of the training to make sure no questions go unanswered. All right, so with that being said, before I move forward, do we have any questions before I get started with SkySlope?
I think we're all set.
Okay, thanks, Kylie. And again, we have Kylie and Harris and Ciara. We have a representation from our support team, our customer success team, and our product team today. So we have everything covered there. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and show you that all you have to do is click on the link when you're in utahrealestate.com. And there's a SkySlope button that you can click on. And it's very seamless. You're just going to click on it, and then it's going to take you right into SkySlope forms. You'll notice it'll default to pull in Utah for you, so you don't need to select the state. And then moving forward, it's going to automatically pull these 3 forms libraries in for you. So you don't want to click remove here. You just want to just leave them as is and then click next to move forward. It's going to auto-populate your information in here, okay? So I need to update it only because I'm in a training profile today, but it's going to auto-populate your last name and your NERDS ID. So again, just making this seamless for you. You're going to click Find NAR Records. It'll find your records. Click Next to move forward, and boom, just like that, you are logged into SkySlope Forms. So really, again, trying to make it easy for you to log in and as seamless as possible. From there, within SkySlope Forms, the first thing I'd like you to do is go up to your name in the top right. We'll talk about this landing page here in just a moment. But you'll notice once you click on your name, there's a user profile. Some of your information will auto-populate, so your name and your email address. But you definitely want to come in here and just verify that all your information is populated. And why do you think we care about our license number being entered and our phone number? Where do you think this is going to populate? And our brokerage information and license number. So let me know in the chat, why do you think we care about this information and why do we want to save it into our profile? Any guesses there? Go ahead and save that. And check the chat, see what everybody's saying on the REPC. Yeah, so we want everything to auto-populate, right? We don't want to take you, yep, auto-populate on the contract. I see a few people said, so we don't want to take you back to the carbon paper days. I don't know if anybody was there with me back then when you had to write your information every single time. So if you add it once, then save it. Now you've set yourself up for success, and now that information is going to auto-populate within the forms in the file every single time. Otherwise, every time you create a new file, you're going to have to add that information, and we don't want you to have to do that. From there, a couple other things I'd like to show you in your user profile. Number one, right here in the middle is where your state is going to auto-populate. If for some reason you do business in multiple states, you can go ahead and add another location. In addition, there's a tab right here in the top. See how we have profile and associations? So under associations, this is where it's going to show you the associations that you have added. If you had accidentally clicked remove, you could go ahead and add that association. Or if you work in multiple states, then you need to add additional associations. You can go ahead and click here and search for your association and add them. Any questions that I need to address there? Any questions, Kylie or Harris or Ciara?
Hey, Sati, it looks like we have quite a few folks chatting in about TC access or So
Okay.
if you have any info on that.
Yeah, so currently we do not have TC access, but we have been listening to our clients. We know that's important to you. So we are in the process of adding that to SkySlope forms. We tested it out with another product with disclosures that we have, and now we are actually developing it within SkySlope forms. I can't give you a date, but know that we will update you as soon as we have a timeline on that. And it is in the works right now. Okay. So I can't say like 3 months, but just know that it's coming this year. Okay. And somebody asked about the profile. So really quickly, I'm just going to touch on that again. So if you're on you can click on the SkySlope forms at any point in time to go back to the home page. But right here on the top right, it's going to show your name after you log in. You just click on that drop down there and you'll see there's a user profile. Once you click on user profile, then you have your profile tab where you can add your information. If you add information, just make sure you save it. It'll prompt you if you try to exit and don't. And then you have the associations tab. Okay, so right there. All right, so again, I can click on SkySlope forms to go back to the home page. Now I have files and I have templates. And you'll notice I have some active files right here. So this is where you are going to see any files that you have already created. And I can actually rename my file if I would like, and I can also archive it. Once I archive it, you'll notice I have an archive tab that's just going to sit here with my archived file, and I can go ahead and restore it. So you can toggle between those two. Common questions we get at this point is how many active files can I have? And how many archive files can I have? Do you delete them after a certain amount of time? And the answer is unlimited. So there isn't a limit on the number of files you have or archives. We don't delete them after a year. They're just going to be sitting out here. Another common question is, well, what if I just want to delete it? I don't want to see it in archives. We don't actually delete it because we want to make sure that if you that you can restore it if you need it. So just ignore it if it's sitting over there in archives. All right, so I promised to show you creating templates first. So I'm going to go ahead and click on templates. You'll notice I already have a couple templates that I've created here. So I can go ahead and see my template, what I've added in here if I click on it, but I'm actually going to show you how to build a template from scratch. So back here, I'm going to click on templates. Now, what are templates within SkySlope forms? They allow you to do two things. They allow you to group selected forms together that you typically would send out to your client at the same time, saving you a little bit of time there, right? So if you always send out the same 2 to 3 documents to your client when you first start representing them, let's put them in the template and then you apply a template to a file and it's just going to drop all those forms in the file. Not only that, you can also pre-populate fields and text within the form in the template. So when you apply that template to the file, that same information that is typically entered in the form will just auto-populate within the form in the file, again, saving you time. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create New Template. Let me go ahead and just make sure there's no questions about templates. I don't see any. Okay, excellent. And then it's going to ask me what type of template would you like to create. So let's go ahead and say I'm representing a lot of sellers lately and I want to create a template with those listing documents up front. So I'm going to click on Seller and click Next. It is important to select the appropriate template type before you move forward. And then I'm going to go ahead and say Listing Agreement. Okay, and click Continue to move forward. So I'm going to name the template. And then you'll notice I am shown my list of forms available to me. It is going to default to show you all of the forms within the forms library, but you can go ahead and limit your view. So if you only want to look at one library, or maybe just 2 libraries, you can go ahead and select the 2 libraries or the 1 library that you would like to view the forms for. And now you're only going to see these 2 forms libraries. I'm going to go ahead and clear those out so that I'll see all forms. And let's go ahead and look for that exclusive right to sell listing agreement. You'll notice I can add this to my template, but I can also view the form to make sure it's correct. Or if I was just going out to the forms library and I wanted to print a form or download it, notice when I click on the name of the form, then I have the option to view it to make sure that's the form I want. Not only that, I can download the form in the top right or print out a copy of it. Okay. That's the first place that you can print a form is when you're in the forms library. I'll close out of this and actually or add that. And now I've added that to my template. I'm going to go ahead and add an addendum as well. So if I actually have an addendum here that I need to include, I can add that addendum. And you'll notice in the bottom right, I can see that 2 forms have been added. I can click on the view button to see which forms have been added, and then click continue to move forward. All right. I don't see, just checking for questions here. I see a question, can we add our own forms? Perfect lead in. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment. So from here, you'll notice that I'm working within this listing agreement template. I have these 2 forms added to it, and I can change the order of these forms or delete any forms if I added it by accident. So on the left here, these lines here, when I click on these lines and hold my mouse down, I can drag this up and down if I want to change the order in which the forms are within the template. You'll notice in the bottom left, to answer the question that just came in, can you add your own forms? Absolutely. You can add forms or upload documents. So add forms simply means it's going to take me back to the forms library and allow me to add additional forms from the library. But if I need to upload, maybe there's some type of home selling checklist that I always provide to my sellers, or a broker form that's specific to my brokerage that sellers always have to sign, I can go ahead and upload documents and then drag PDF documents over. At this time, we can only pull in PDF documents, but we are working on an enhancement that will allow for Word documents. And so I can just upload documents. It's going to take me to my desktop or my folders here, and I can go ahead and select the form and add it. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out of here. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll through now and only add information that is typically going to be the same from seller to seller. So I'm not adding information specific to a transaction with a seller, right? Unless I'm always working with the same seller, an investor, and I want to add all their information in, then you could certainly do that. But really, I'm just looking for information that's typically going to be the same. So if the commission is typically 6% with a 3% split, I can go ahead and enter that information. I like to use the 80-20 rule. If 80% of the time the information's the same, let's just put it in the template so that it defaults in. Maybe this is typically 90 days. So I'm just going to scroll through the form again, looking for those fields that are the same from seller to seller. Once I'm happy with the form, I'm going to go ahead and save the template. I do want to touch on one thing here. At the very top, you'll notice that it's not pulling in my company information. And I showed you, if you add your information to the user profile, I said it'll auto-populate to the form in a file, right? So it doesn't actually pull into the template because the forms in the file just look to the user profile. They don't look to the template. So you don't need to add your information to the template. Just add it to the user profile, and I'll show you how that works once I get to the forms file. Before I save this template, what questions do you have, if any, about a template? See, one, do they become a fillable PDF form if you add your own to a template? So if you add your own to a template, when you get to DigiSign, then you can go ahead and it's not fillable, but when you get to DigiSign, you can add text boxes, signatures, and all of that. So I'll go ahead and show you that. Great question. And I see a question, what is the monthly cost? There is no cost for SkySlope forms. All you need is your paid membership with URE. So no extra cost charged by us, no catch there, okay? I see a couple more questions coming in. Once the form is in the template with the same info, can you still change those fields for a specific client? Very great question, Brooke. Absolutely. I'll show you that when we get to the forms file. So just because you put it in the forms template, if it's at 20% of the time where it's different, you can absolutely change it still within the forms file. All right, and then I see one more question I'll answer. Are the saved fields easy to edit later if a specific field you've saved to the template needs to be different? Okay, yeah, I just answered that question. And you can edit templates. So let me go ahead and save this template. You'll notice now I have this listing agreement to template, and notice I have options here. So whenever we see these dots, this ellipsis button here means that you can actually click on it and you have some options here. So I can add additional forms, I can edit the template, I can remove forms and delete it completely. So if I have like a couple listing agreement templates, I can just delete the ones that I don't need. Maybe I've made some changes to it or whatever. Now, that being said, a common question we get at this point is, well, what about when URE changes the forms? Am I gonna have to go out to every single one of my templates and update it? Or do you think we're gonna do the hard work for you? Let me know in the chat. Are you gonna have to come in here and edit every template, or are we going to update those forms in the template when you use it? What do you think? Or what do you hope? Yeah. Yes. So when you apply that template and we notice that the form has been updated, we'll go ahead and give you a little prompt, let you know that it's been updated, and you say, okay. So yes, a little gift for you as you hoped or wished. You absolutely, we are going to do that for you. You are welcome, Joseph. Okay. So from there, again, to get back to my homepage, I can go ahead and click on SkySlope Forms. It'll take me back to my homepage here. And at any point in time, I can go back to templates. So let me go ahead and just do a quick poll here. Let's see. Let me go ahead and launch this one about forms access. So SkySlope Forms is accessed for the first time by clicking on the SkySlope link at utahrealestate.com or creating a brand new account and entering your information manually directly on SkySlope Forms. This is a really important one because we want to make it as easy as possible for you. So I'll go ahead and let a few more answers, but I see the majority of you are saying clicking on the SkySlope link at utahrealestate.com. So you are absolutely correct. I see 97% of you, 98% are saying to click on that SkySlope link at utahrealestate.com, and you're absolutely correct. So for those of you that said go directly to SkySlope Forms and create a new account and enter all your information manually, save yourself some time. Just click on that link right at utahrealestate.com, and then it's going to go ahead and just push you through to SkySlope Forms, pull in your information automatically, really making it easy for you. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. I think I have one more. I'll go ahead and launch here. So template benefits allow you to group selected forms together, reduce repetitive data entry by allowing you to pre-populate fields and text, save time when preparing documents, or all of the above. And we're not the DMV here. We're not trying to trick you. So there's no real wrong answer here. But I just want to reiterate that templates are going to help you. And I see 98% of you are saying all of the above, and you're absolutely correct. So no matter what you picked, it's not wrong, but all three of those are benefits of templates. All right, thanks for playing along there. I'm going to go ahead and continue forward with creating a file. And let me just check in actually with the Q&A moderators and see if there's any questions that we need to address before moving forward. I know they're hard at work answering all your questions. Thank you for your patience.
Thanks, Sati. I'll pop in here. I've been seeing a couple in requests to brokerages setting up templates on behalf of their agents and how that information is being shared between agents. So just wanted to clarify, of course, if your brokerage is currently a SkySlope client with our DTM and suites, we can set this up and provide brokerage level features. However, if you're taking advantage of our standalone, the member benefit side, which you're covering right now and creating those accounts, it is on an individual type basis. So just wanted to clarify that since there seems to be a handful of questions coming into our Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I'll show you real quick in templates. If you are a SkySlope transaction management customer, there's an option for broker edition, and you can reach out to your customer success manager as Kara addressed there, and you would actually see personal templates here. Those are your templates, right, that are associated with your profile. But you would have a brokerage template section right here where you would have those brokerage templates. Great question. I see another question came in that said, I already have an account through my brokerage. Do I need to create a new account or will it connect to URE? And that is a very good question. If you are an existing client, all you want to do is just make sure that your email address with URE is the same as your existing account, and then it's just going to flow perfectly. Okay. You do not need to create a new account. You're just going to click through and there you go. And somebody did ask about printing blank forms, so I'll address that again when we move into creating a file. So let's go ahead and do that right here within the file. you will notice that I have one file active, and I'm just simply going to create new file. So what we've done in SkySlope Forms, I'm sure you've noticed, is we've just really tried to make it easy for you to know where you need to go, right? Files, templates, very simple. I'm just going to click create new file. I only have to enter 3 to 4 pieces of information, really just 3 pieces of information in order to create a new file, okay? So what you're going to do is create a new file, and that's where you're going to come back to again and again as you need to check the status of forms that you've sent out for signature, and also if you need to send new forms out to your client for signature, okay? It's all going to be housed under that nice forms file, keeping you organized. So first, who's your client? Well, let's say I'm representing a lot of sellers right now. I've been lucky getting some listings. And then I can go ahead and enter my seller's name. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my seller's name and their email address. Now, it is important to note that you must have their email address in order for them to digitally sign the documents, right? We have to send them an email. They can't just go out to forms.com or digisign.com to sign. So we have to send them an email for legal purposes. From there, you can add an additional contact, or if it was a trust or entity, you could have checked the box and enter the trust or entity name and the representative. I'm just going to do the individual today. However, if there was additional seller on title, I could go ahead and add an additional contact and enter their information. Now, do you think, what if Kelly and Ron here both have the same email address? Can I enter this twice, do you think? Or do you think they have to have a unique email address? You're probably thinking, I hope they can use the same email address, because sometimes that's the case, right? Absolutely, they can have the same email address, just 2 separate emails will go to that same email inbox, and each of them can access the email and then walk through the DigiSign process. I'm just going to use the one today and move forward. Now it's going to ask me, do you have a property yet? Now, I want to go ahead and highlight before I enter the property, import MLS data. So if I was just starting to represent a seller, I probably haven't entered it in MLS yet, right? But if I was coming in here, creating this file and maybe writing an offer on a property for my buyer, I definitely want to take advantage of this feature. You'll notice I can click on the button, and this button is available in 2 places: when you first create the file, or later when you're actually filling out forms within the file. It'll always be in the top right. So when I click import MLS data, I'm simply going to enter my MLS number. It's going to search for and find that particular property. I just select it and click import, and then it's saving you time, reducing that repetitive data entry, right? So it's going to import the property address, MLS number, other agent information, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and just enter my property address manually. You'll notice as I start typing, it's going to go ahead and search for the property. So again, minimizing that data entry, trying to save you time. And I just select the property, and I can override these fields if necessary. Now, it does remember, so if you have the same client, it will remember the information that you typed in, right, and autofill those fields. I have it turned off in my browser because in training, I don't want it to auto-populate a lot of information based off of my prior entries. But if you have repeat clients and you don't have that browser setting set turned off, then it will remember and autofill that information, okay? From there, how would you like to name your file? I can select address or primary client, but know that you can completely override this information. And so if I wanted to just call it Smith family or a number, you can go ahead and type whatever you want for that file name. Would you like to start with one of your templates? Well, thank you very much, SkySlope Forms. I would love to save some time today, so I'm going to go ahead and select that template. However, notice I haven't clicked on it yet. I can still click Create. Notice it's highlighted blue, which means I can click Create to move forward. So templates aren't required, just a way to save you time. So I'm going to select that template, click Create to move forward, and now I'm sitting within the Smith family file. Notice it has the name of the file at the top, and I have 3 tabs. But before I move forward with going through each one of these tabs, I just want to show you the workflow and what I've done. So if I go back to the home page of SkySlope Forms, now I have my Jackson file that was already sitting here, but now I have the Smith family file. And again, this is where I'm just going to come back to again and again as I need to send out forms or check on status of forms that I've sent. So I just click on that file name, and I am taken directly to the Forms tab. The Forms tab is where I'm going to see any forms that pulled in from my template. So now these forms are sitting here with any fields that I already pre-populated. I can go ahead and download these forms. So any forms I've added to my forms file, I can go ahead and select those forms, and notice in the top bottom right, I can go ahead and click download. And then it's going to go ahead and bring those forms up to my computer here. And I can go ahead and then just select those and print those if I'd like. So that's one way that you can print blank forms. You can also go to add forms, and you'll notice then I can add additional forms to my forms file, but I can also click on forms individually and actually print them or download them right here. So I can do them one by one, but if I actually add multiple forms to my forms file, then again, I can select these forms and then download them and print them. So there's a question that came in about whether or not you could print blank forms, and that's how you can do that. Once I've added forms, I can delete them. If I added them by accident, like I was just playing around right there, I can go ahead and delete them as well. Okay, so from there, I can also upload documents. So if I have documents from my computer, just like within the template, I can upload documents from my computer. So I can drag PDFs here over, or I can upload documents directly from my computer, okay? And then I can apply multiple templates. So it may have a template when I first start representing my seller, and then additional templates with additional forms throughout the life of a transaction. So when I click apply templates, notice it shows me my templates that are available. I can go ahead and select them and then apply that template, and it'll drop those forms within the forms file. All right, so I know a lot of questions are coming in. Do you have any items, moderating team, before we move forward?
Hey, Sati, I'll pop in one more time.
Okay.
So I just wanted to clarify again for those that are popping into our Q&A here, those asking for those admin level controls. So once again, just to clarify, if you're currently a SkySlope DTM SkySlope Suite user, we can get those features enabled for you. However, with your member benefit version here of SkySlope Forms, it does not come with those admin level controls, since we are working with more standalone individual usage. So just wanted to clarify that one more time for those popping into our Q&A.
Awesome. And I see a couple questions came in about that same email address. So if the client is a married couple and shares the same email, do they need to complete the forms in a certain format, or can they use their mobile phone? So they can use their mobile phone to go ahead and sign those forms. Absolutely. And then the question about fraud came up. Fraud in real estate, we know that happens sometimes, right? So with the same email address, how do you know each person is actually signing for themselves? Opens up for possible fraud. Same thing as a paper form. Somebody could fraudulently sign that form, right? So if they're going to be fraudulent, they're going to find a way to do it, and then they are opening themselves up to go to prison, right? So same thing. They do have to go in and verify that it is themselves that they are signing, but same thing if they were forging a signature, okay? Or going into their spouse's email because they have access to it. All right, so go ahead and moving forward, I'm going to go ahead and show you two other tabs. So we have the envelopes tab. Envelopes are what you create when you send them out for signature to your client. We'll come back here in just a moment. File details is simply the file details. You can update the file name and update any information within the forms file. Right here, I'm going to go ahead and add a contact. So any contacts will automatically pull through over to DigiSign so that you have them available to send copies of the forms once they're signed, and also if they actually need to sign. So maybe you have a TC that you work with that you want to receive a copy of the forms once they're signed. So I can go ahead and click Add Contact and add my TC's name, okay, and their email address, okay. Training. And then notice there's an action. So I can select an action. Are they always going to need to sign or receive a copy? So I can go ahead and save this. So anybody that is always going to sign or always receive a copy, then I suggest adding them here to set yourself up for success once you get into DigiSign. So if I realize, surprise, there's somebody else on title, Kelly's actually married, then I can go ahead and come in here and add an additional seller just by clicking add contact and then selecting seller. And that's going to go ahead and add them as well so they pull through. Okay. From there, let's go to forms and walk through filling out forms. So you'll notice I can click, see that little circle right there? Some people miss it, but all I have to do is really click anywhere on the left in this general area, and that allows me to select the forms to move forward. Once I've selected the forms I want to fill out and send, I'm going to go ahead and click fill and send on the bottom right. And now I'm within these documents. And again, I can drag these forms up and down. So if I want the client to view this form first before this one, I can change the order, and then that's the order in which they will actually view them and sign them. You'll notice in the top right, I have import MLS data. So that's the second place I promised to show you where you can import MLS data. And then in the bottom left, I can actually add forms. So if I realize at this time, oh shoot, I forgot a particular document that I need to add to this forms file, or sorry, to this envelope for my client to send, I can click add forms, and I'm given 3 options. And what do these mean? So from this file simply means any forms that I have sitting in the forms file. I just had 2. So if I click on this, it's going to say, hey, you don't have any more. You already have them all selected. But if I had additional forms sitting out there, I could go ahead and select them. Or I can click add forms. That's going to take me back to the forms library and allow me to select any forms from the forms library. Or upload takes you back to your computer or your desktop, and you can go ahead and upload documents from your desktop. Okay. From there, you'll notice, as promised, your information is auto-populated, right, from the user profile, so your broker name right there. And now we're going to customize this form for your client. Now, you know this form better than I am. You have your license in real estate, right? So you'll notice you're just going to scroll through and fill out these blue fields as you typically would for your clients. So if there is a lease agreement, I go ahead and enter that information. And then you're just going to scroll through this form. Actually, I'm going to drag this one up first. So I'm going to scroll through this form here and customize it. So I can go ahead and enter the date just by selecting the date and saying, okay. Go ahead and override it. A few of you asked, well, what if it's different? So the template pulled in this information, right? But I can go ahead and change this. I can update the months here, or, oh, I said 90 months. I meant 90 days. So I need to fix my template too, right? So let's just say 3 months is what I meant. And then continuing to customize this form as you see fit. So any questions about filling out these forms within the forms file? Doesn't look like it. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and continue to scroll through. You'll notice I can save it. So let's say I'm halfway through filling out this forms file, and I realize, oh, well, shoot, I need to go ahead and go show some properties. I get a call. I need to show some properties. I don't want to lose what I've done within this forms file, so I can go ahead and save and exit. It's going to allow me to name my envelope. So envelopes, again, are what you send to your clients, right, for signature. So you may send multiple envelopes through the life of a forms file. So I do recommend customizing the envelope name so that when you come over to envelopes to check status or download forms, you'll notice that you can see the envelope name and they're not just all going to say Smith family. So you'll know which is which. So let me go ahead and go through this workflow. Let's say you exit out of SkySlope forms and now you come back to SkySlope forms and you're ready to complete this envelope and send it out to Kelly Smith. You're going to go to that forms file, right? So you're going to back on the homepage, you click on that forms file, and you've already created that envelope. So where am I going to go? Am I going to click these again, or can I just go to envelopes? You're probably thinking you can just go to envelopes, Sati, come on. Absolutely correct. So you'll notice if I click on the envelopes tab, it shows that envelope that I've already created. It's sitting in a draft status right here, and I can go ahead and click on it. Now, I can go ahead and click right on this, and it's going to take me right where I left off. Okay, so now I can go ahead and continue filling out this form, make any adjustments. Boom, boom, and now I'm ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and click prepare signature to move forward. It's going to allow me to name my envelope again. So I already did it when I saved it as a draft, but if I hadn't saved it as a draft and had just moved forward, it would look like this, right? So then I'd want to go ahead and name it. And then you'll notice I have an action required. So this is your first option to select an action, but know that within DigiSign, when I move forward to the next step, you're going to get another chance to change these actions and add additional people if needed. So you yourself will always default to no action, okay? That doesn't mean you're not going to receive a copy of the signed forms. You as the agent working under your profile, we know that you always want a copy of the signed forms, so you don't even need to select an action for yourself. But you'll notice your seller will always default to needs to sign. So your clients, your buyer, your seller will always default to needs to sign. And then anybody that you added to the file details under contacts will pull through with whatever action you put under their name. Okay, so I said receives a copy for my TC Angie. So now I'm going to click next to move forward. Now notice I'm in SkySlope forms, right? In the top left, I don't have to sign into DigiSign separately, okay? Notice when I click next, what's going to happen in the top left here, just put your eyes up to the top left, it automatically pushes me over to DigiSign. So I don't have to log in with separate credentials. Boom, now I'm in DigiSign. Now I'm going to go ahead and edit any changes that I need to this form. You'll notice you can increase the size of this form if you would like. And then as you're scrolling through this form, I want to show you really all the hard work has been done for you. So any forms that you pull from a forms library within SkySlope Forms are already going to be mapped and coded per the requirements of that form. Kylie works on our product team here and has been hard at work with her team, making sure that these are mapped and coded with the appropriate initials, signatures, date, timestamps, and so forth. So that really all you have to do when you pull forms from a forms library is click send and move forward. Okay. That being said, if you ever do notice a form where maybe it's missing an initial in a spot or something like that, please escalate that to your support team so we can know and we can make those changes, okay? So you can reach out to the URE support team. I once had a training where somebody asked for another initial on every page of the document. The association or MLS approved it, and then I reached out to Kylie, and within 5 minutes, it was changed. So we are here for you to make sure that these forms are accurate and you can send them out easily, okay? So from here, really, I'm ready to send this out, but I want to go ahead and highlight some features within DigiSign. Number one, you'll notice my client is color coded. So if I do have multiple sellers, they each are going to have their own color so that as I'm adding signatures or initials within the form, it's going to pull through that color coding so I know whose initials or signatures I'm adding. And then you'll notice as I'm scrolling through, again, I can go ahead and add initials anywhere. So I don't have to add initials here, but I want to show you what it will look like and what the flow will be with a couple of these tools. Now, if you upload documents from your computer, we don't have those pre-mapped and coded, right? So if that's the case, you will take advantage of these tools. If you are a SkySlope transaction management customer, part of our broker edition, we do have broker libraries where those documents can be mapped and coded. We're also working on templates. So if, like, say you upload a form all the time and you have 2 signatures and date timestamps on that, we're working on templates where within DigiSign, you can just apply that template to a form and then quickly add signatures and date timestamps. So we are working on features that are going to make it a little bit easier. But one thing I love, I'm going to show you, is you can copy and paste. So if you have a few documents you uploaded from your computer, you can just insert the signature, date, timestamp, or whatever you need on every page, and then you can just copy, paste it really easily. So I'll go ahead and show you that. So let me go ahead and insert some initials right here. So we have this 5%. Maybe I want them to initial next to that commission 5%. So all I'm going to do is make sure I'm on the appropriate signer, click on the initials. Notice this plus button right here. See that plus button to the left of this word fee? I'm just going to move that plus button, my cursor, wherever I want those initials to be. I can increase it, increase the size, or decrease the size. Okay. Boom, now I've very easily added initials. Maybe I also want to add a text field at the very top. So you'll notice I have text field over here, so I can click the text field and then just drag right here the size of that form. And notice after I drag it, if I want to make it smaller or bigger, I can do so. And then 2 ways I can enter text. You'll notice I have an editing block on the left that I have a text field that I can click on to start typing, or you can double click right here and it's the same thing. And then you start typing the information. And notice it will resize as you type. Now, some options with the text field box. Maybe you're just providing information to your client. If that's the case, notice on the left, you have a read-only option. When you click read-only, it grays it out and it's now just providing information to your client. However, maybe you want to ask a question and maybe you want to make it optional. If you leave it just as is right here with the question typed in here and leave optional checked, then it's going to make it an optional field where they can answer the question if they want. If you want to force them to answer the question and make it required, you're going to uncheck that optional field, and now they'll have to address that question within the text field, okay? If you added it, you don't need it, you're just playing around, no problem, you can delete it. Boom, okay. Before I move forward, I want to see what questions we have, if any, that we need to address.
Hey, Sati, me again.
Hi, Kira. Thanks
so
so much.
Absolutely. Hey, I had a really good question come in a little bit earlier on in the Q&A, and that was someone asking if they have access to just look at the forms or documents without creating a file. So I actually just wanted to clarify, you will need to create a file to access those documents. However, a lot of the fields that you fill out on that first page are optional. We understand things change. So if you want to do more of like a miscellaneous file within the account in order to access those documents, you're more than welcome to do so. So I know that that probably takes a little bit more explaining than just that, but we wanted to clarify there, you will need to create a file in order to access those documents.
Yep, and I will show you how quickly you can create a forms file. I understand it may be different. Thank you so much, Kira. It may be different than your current workflow, but it's like 10 seconds that you can create a forms file. And what I recommend is if you're going to be doing that a lot and you're going to be looking at forms or printing forms that are just blank, or just uploading a permission slip to sign for your child's school, you can create just a generic or dummy file under your name with your email address. And then you can just go to that forms file all the time, anytime you need to go to the forms library. So it's a different mindset, but it's very easy. And also it gives you the benefit of having those forms file when you are working with a client, of having them all organized in one place, okay? All right. So let me go ahead, and I see a couple questions coming in about you signing the form. And so I do want to adjust those questions in just a moment. I will show you that, okay? It is part of my training today. And great questions coming in. So moving forward, you'll notice we have a checkbox option. I just want to highlight that real quick because there are some options here. So when I click on checkbox, now, if the form requires a checkbox, I don't know if you have it like any disclosures that have a ton of checkboxes there in Utah, but if you do, we already have those pre-mapped and coded. But if you do need to insert checkboxes on a particular form that you upload, you'll notice when I click the plus button, I've added one checkbox here. Now the editing block became available with some additional options. I can increase the number of checkboxes very easily, but by just typing the number here, I can click plus. It's going to increase the checkbox amount. But if I need 5, it's easier just to come over here and type 5, and boom, now I have 5 checkboxes. I can move these checkboxes around. And then I have some options here within the required checkboxes section. So I have select at least, at most, or exactly. This allows you to customize whether those checkboxes are required or optional and how many have to be checked or can be checked. So at least means at least the number you have selected must be checked. So that makes it required now that 2 out of the 5 are checked. If I say at most, 5 can be checked, or at most 1, that is going to limit the amount, right, that they can actually check, but it's going to also make it optional. So at most 5 can be checked. That's going to allow them to check all of them, but it's not required that they check 5. And then lastly, exactly, this is going to force them to check the exact amount that you have selected there within that checkbox section. You can also check them by default. If you have only one checkbox, you can actually make it read only. Okay, oops, get back to that checkbox. You can check the read only option. Okay, and then lastly, you can actually move checkboxes around. So after I add these, I can go ahead and double click, move this checkbox around. if I need to change the order in which the check boxes are. Okay, and then notice I can still delete these check boxes. And I can delete all of them by clicking the delete. So what I recommend, I'm going to show you in just a moment, is creating a test file so you can play around with these features, send them to yourself, and really get to know the system. I don't know about you, but I learned by actually, touching, typing everything out. So I like to create test files and play around. From there, let's go ahead and review the recipient section. So this allows you the second place here within DigiSign, or the first place within DigiSign. Before I came to DigiSign, I could actually manipulate who it was actually signing, right? So you'll notice myself, if I had selected myself from the get-go before I came into DigiSign, where it showed my seller needs to sign and Angie receiving a copy, and I said no action. If I had selected that I needed to sign, it would have auto-populated my signature within the document, okay, for me. So that's the best way to do it if you know you're going to sign, is select needs to sign. But if I want to add it after the fact, I can go ahead and check the box and add myself as a signer. So because I didn't do it before I came into DigiSign, you'll notice I said I need to sign, but if I scroll to the bottom of this document, my signature isn't in here, right? So again, if I would have done it before I came into DigiSign, it would have just been auto-populated and both of us would have been right here. If I do it after the fact under recipients, then it's going to add me to the signer group, and now it's going to allow me to add my signature. So now I can toggle between the two. Again, we have that color coding so you can see whose signature is where. And then I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's selected on myself. I'm going to click on signature right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and click and add my signature. I can resize the signature, and then I can go ahead and add the date as well. Okay. I do want to show you one other thing. If I select time, that's actually date and time. Okay, so if you're doing date and time, all you have to do is time. You don't have to do date and time separately. And one other thing I want to show you is when you add your signature, notice how it's still highlighted on this field and it says MR. If I was going back and forth between my seller and myself, or multiple sellers and inserting signatures and initials, you want to click out of that field before you change the drop down, because otherwise it's going to change who's signing right here. So if I click and change it to Kelly, notice it changed it to Kelly. So after adding a signature, and let me go ahead and do a date as well, you just want to click out of the field, and now that sets it, and then you can move forward with the next person's signatures, date, initials, and so forth. Okay. From there, I just want to show you a couple other features under the recipients. I can go ahead and add additional recipients. Again, if you're always going to have somebody receive a copy or sign, you want to add it to the file details. But if I'm actually just doing it on the fly and I just want somebody to receive a copy just for this envelope, then I can go ahead and add them here. Okay. Lastly, I can go ahead and add signer groups. So if I want Kelly to sign before I actually sign, then I can add a signer group, move myself down. You can have up to 4 signer groups. And so now when I move myself down to the second signer group, now I won't even receive an email to digitally sign these forms until Kelly has already signed them. Then I'll receive one with her signature on it. I'm going to remove it just by dragging myself up and click save. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and click send to move forward and send this out for signature. I can edit the email subject line or the email message, and then click send for signatures. And now I've sent this out to my client. One thing I love about SkySlope Forms is I can sign this envelope right here within DigiSign. I don't have to go out to my email. So notice if I click sign now as the agent, it's going to go ahead and walk me through that DigiSign signing experience. I'm just going to click start, click on the first required fields, select my signature, click use this signature, finish signing becomes available, and boom, now I've signed this document. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm done. I can download or view the signed documents, but I'll also receive an email of these forms. So I don't need to download them here if I want to wait. When I click I'm done, it's going to take me back into SkySlope Forms and take me back to this envelope. It's going to show me the status of this particular envelope. So it's signed 1 of 3. I can click on these dots to actually download this document package at this point. So if I was actually just going to print this out and take it to Kelly to sign, I could do so just by downloading it or clicking right on the name of the document and just printing this package out. Okay. In addition, I can download single PDFs or individual PDFs, or I can resend the envelope. So if I click on resend envelope, that allows me to resend it to the same email address or update the email address. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's say if I just want to send a reminder to Kelly, she says, you know what, I can't find that email, no problem, just click send reminder. Or if Kelly says, hey, I need you to send that to my work email, you can just click on edit, type the new email address. Before clicking done, click send reminder. That's what actually sends the new email to Kelly, and then Kelly will receive it at her work email address. Kelly says, hey, I need you to update. I just want everything to go to my work email. No problem. Update the envelope first and then go to the file details and update the email address right here by clicking edit. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hop over, show you really quickly what the seller's view is going to look like when they sign, and then show you a couple more things and then we'll be done. So it's going to show coming from the agent to your client. They're simply going to click get started. They have to agree to the e-signature terms saying, I am actually this person signing. And then they're simply going to click start, just like you did. Click on the first required field. They can select their signature or draw it if they would like. Just know they have to do initials and the signature. So I'm just going to click through all these required fields. Boom, boom, boom. Once I click the last required field, it's going to activate the finish signing option. Again, me as a seller can download or view a copy of these signed forms, but I'm also going to receive an email with those forms as well, so I don't actually need to, okay? And then I had Angie, my TC, as the same email address, so she actually received a copy as well. Hopping back over to SkySlope forms, it is going to update that envelope status to completed. And then I can download this form and upload it to my transaction management provider. If you do use SkySlope forms, it will drop these documents into your transaction or listing within SkySlope once they are completed. And I can also view the history of this envelope. A lot of times we get the question, well, hey, what if I want to see if my clients actually accessed that that email, right? It actually shows you the status when they view it. So you can see, oh, they viewed it and they didn't go through signing it. So they did actually receive the email. You can also download a certificate with all of the statuses of that particular form as well. All right, so I know that's a lot of information. We're going to jump into questions in just a moment. I do want to address that question Kira brought up, is whether you need a forms file, how to create that test file. So I personally like to create new file and just add myself as the buyer or seller. If I'm uploading documents from my computer, it doesn't matter whether it's buyer or seller, but if I'm going to be uploading buyer or seller documents, then it is important to have that representation type appropriately. I like to create a seller test file and a buyer test file, so I can just test both forms or upload documents. So I go ahead and enter my email address, my name, and then you can name the document. So I like to do like buyer test, and then click create. So now it has my information sitting in here, right, with this buyer test file. So now I can come out here at any point in time. I can just upload a document from my computer, maybe a permission slip, or maybe I just want to play around with adding random forms and testing and working within SkySlope forms. So again, you can just create a dummy file or test file to go ahead and upload random documents or get to know the system, okay? But again, if you're creating a file for a client, you don't even have to have the email address. So I can just go ahead and say, oh, it's my buyer, enter their name, boom, name the file. What was that? 5 seconds, and I've created a forms file. So it really doesn't take a lot of time. So what questions do we have that we need to address, team? Again, we're going to stick around. I know we've hit exactly at 10 o'clock. So we want to make sure we address all questions. So we keep those questions coming if you need them. Otherwise, I recommend that you just go out to utahrealestate.com, click on that SkySlope link, get logged into SkySlope forms and get started with your first transaction, or create that test file and start playing around with SkySlope forms. Again, you have your awesome support team at utahrealestate.com for any questions that you have or assistance that you need. They are here for you to support you along the way in using SkySlope forms. And a recording of today's training will be emailed out to all attendees. So you can go ahead and watch that again if you would like to. And you can even follow along with what I did today, right? You'd watch it, pause it, and just follow along and just reach out to your team if you have any questions. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the Q&A. see what questions you have. If you are done, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you joining in. Enjoy this beautiful Thursday, and we look forward to working with you more. Thank you, everyone. Glad to hear it was helpful. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I see some raised hands. Please drop them in the Q&A. We'll stick around till all those questions are answered. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Thanks, Rihanna. Thanks, Danielle. We appreciate your time today. Yay, I'm glad you're excited, Vicki. Thank you so much. We're excited to be working with you. All right, thank you, thank you. Thanks, Anne. Thanks, Sandy. Thank you.
Hey, Sati, I just wanted to pop in really fast. If you have a moment, we have a few that are asking how to get into forms through the DTM. So I was wondering if you possibly had a moment just to toggle between the two platforms, if that's an option. If not, I know you're working in a demo account,
Okay.
so no
Yeah,
worries.
I think what we were going to do on that is go ahead and send a video out to existing customers. Let me just double check on that real quick. Okay, so we'll just keep those questions being answered in the Q&A, and let me just check on that one real quick. And again, for those of you that raised your hands, please just post that question in the Q&A and we'll get back to you. And DTM, Stephanie says, what is DTM? It is digital transaction management. So we have our transaction management software, not required to use forms, but some brokers use digital transaction management. They sign on with us and allows them to have their agents be compliant, list all of the required forms that need to be provided in order to close out the transaction. And so we do have some existing customers here that use that transaction management. Thanks, Maria. Thanks, Benjamin. Kale says, powerful software, looking forward to using it. Thanks for the insights during today's training. Thanks so much, Kale. I appreciate that feedback. Looking forward to you getting in there and getting started. Let's see. Just looking at the questions real quick. There was a question that came in. If you do have questions, please put them in the Q&A so we don't miss them. But we had a question come in that says, does the email to client come from DigiSign, SkySlope, or agent's email? So I can show you. It does show coming from the agent. Great question. You can use a custom signature, Paul. So one of the options I showed is the ability to draw your own signature. So there's draw your own signature or just selecting a signature. They can just click on draw and draw your own signature. Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. Well, good, Kale. Yes, I was hoping I got it right. All right, we're just going to keep answering those questions in the Q&A. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to jump in and help. I saw another question come in about custom emails. So right now, currently within DigiSign, there's only, if you're sending it out to multiple parties, now you can customize the email from client to client, but if you have multiple parties, maybe one's just receiving a copy and one's signing, and maybe you're CCing the lender and attorney and you want to customize the message to the lender and the attorney. Currently, you can't customize it, but we do have this on our enhancement list. This has come up in prior trainings, and our product team has this on their enhancement team for DigiSign. So Dylan, look for updates on that coming, but we do have that on the list. Thank you for that question. Thanks, Dylan. All right, a lot of good questions coming in. I'm just going to review a few more, see if I can help out. And Kylie, I don't know if you saw a question. There's a question from Casey Wheeler about the SPCD, about when there's 3 options, yes, no, or NA. It doesn't require them to check a box, but yes and no do. So Casey, Kylie from our product team will go ahead and check into that, and we will address that definitely. So there's one from Casey Wheeler, Kylie. I see Kylie's already typing an answer. You rock, Kylie. Thank you. I told you guys she was amazing. Yeah, and for those of you that are existing SkySlope customers, we'll go ahead and provide the link for the flow between DTM and SkySlope forms. So we'll go ahead and provide that to URE so they can make it available on their support side, okay? Because it is important that you create the forms file first and then link it to your SkySlope transaction or listing. There's a little tab, one that says address lookup, which you're probably typically used to typing in the address, but there's a tab right next to it where you can select forms file. So you want to create your forms file first and then go to your SkySlope transaction management and then just select that forms file instead of typing in the address. That allows you to link the two together. Documents will automatically then drop into your transaction or listing and fields will auto-populate from your forms file, okay? David asked, is there a mobile platform to use this on your phone? There currently isn't a mobile app, but it is mobile optimized so your client can go through and answer all the questions and actually digitally sign the forms. Heather is asking if you can edit the font. You can't edit the font at this time. It is just the one font. And then I see a question coming in. If you have a TC and they also have they are a licensed agent, can they create the file in their account and transfer it to the agent if we have SkySlope as a brokerage? That's a great question. So Kira, you might need to help me out with this one, but I'm pretty sure that they would not be able to link it to that at this point in time. Now we are working on Teams and TC access so that you can share between each other. But at this time, if the TC went and created it under their account, there's no way to like link that to the other person's account in DTM and transaction management. But we are working on an enhancement with that TC and team access where you could do that. Okay, so that is being worked on. It's one of our top priorities to get that available to you.
You're absolutely right, Sati. That
Okay,
was perfect.
thanks, Kira.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's see. See, a question came in from Kevin. If I use the new SkySlope platform you're introducing, does it automatically create and save a transaction in my older SkySlope account, or does it just keep it on the new platform? And Kevin, I may need some additional information on this. So you're talking about transaction management or forms. So if you have an existing account with SkySlope transaction management, you're going to want to go to utahrealestate.com. Number one, you just want to make sure your utahrealestate.com email address is the same as your existing SkySlope account. Then all you have to do is just click on that SkySlope forms link, and it is going to link the two together. Okay, so all your existing transactions listings will still be on transaction management, and you can start creating forms files. If you've already accessed SkySlope forms, those will be sitting there as well, no problem. Hopefully that answered your question. If not, please let me know. See another question, Kylie, that might be good for you at 10:04 from Patrick. I did a file yesterday, but the addendums file was very limited. So it looks like we do have multiple addendums out there. So let me go ahead and show you real quick. So let's see, let me go ahead and add forms. So if you need multiple addendums, I can't remember the name of that addendum right here. So this blank addendum to our EPC, is that what you're talking about, Patrick? So we have multiple in case you need more than one addendum and you need additional room or multiple addendums, you can add more than one here, okay? If you feel like other addendums need additional space, or you're just talking about the text field didn't have enough space. But I'm thinking, so let me know, Patrick. If you're talking about this section needs more space, we can go ahead and look into that. Great questions. Oh, text field didn't have enough. So Kylie, for that one, so for example, escalation clause can get lengthy. Oh, I see Kira's typing the answer. Kira, that's the one. So it's talking about the text field. If you want to go ahead and answer that one live.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was really just going to pop in, let you know, Patrick, of course, we are pretty new here in our Utah form. So if you are noticing areas where we need to incorporate more text, or it seems to be limited because of that context, please go ahead and let us know. I always recommend reach out to our SkySlope support team here. We're heavily taking that feedback to see how we can best accommodate these forms for you so they flow nicely right along with your day-to-day. So I know you were mentioning a specific escalation clause that can get lengthy. So I'm going to go ahead and notate that feedback. I know Kylie and I will have a chance to sync up as well at the end of today's session to really capture what we need to make some tweaks and adjustments.
Yep. Thank you so much, Kira. And Patrick, if you want to go ahead and email me the particular form that you are talking about, you can go ahead and shoot me an email. I just dropped it into the chat there. So if you want to send me an email and let me know what particular document you were working on, let me know it was that escalation clause, I can go ahead and escalate that to product. Otherwise, if you notice that, please go ahead and, okay. So if you have further questions, perfect lead in, please reach out to utahrealestate.com if you have any questions. We see that there's a few questions we're still wrapping up, but we'll go ahead and email you the answer to those questions. I know we've gone a little over here, but we want to make sure we answered most of your questions today. So thank you so much for your time. And I appreciate your help. I'm going to go ahead, or you joining in today. Let me go ahead and just take a screenshot of all those questions. We'll go ahead and make sure we shoot you an answer to those existing questions. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. We are sending a recording of this to everyone that is on the session today, so you can rewatch it for your viewing pleasure. Thank you. Have a wonderful Thursday. Appreciate your time. Bye.